Hello, everybody. This is Alia Jamal, the love coach, coming here for another love circle. And today we are talking about ego. Now, this is one of those concepts that when we get into self-development, we are so confused. We get messages where you need to kill your ego needs to die, or your ego is controlling you. And it just keeps getting confusing and more confusing. So, what I want to do today with this conversation is help you understand, first of all, what ego is, what parts of it are going to limit you, and what parts of it you really need them. So, let's dig in. When the soul comes into the body, the soul cannot fully express itself. It cannot, because the soul is pure essence, it's pure light and love. And now it is wearing a very thick and dense suit. So if, let's say, you take a bulb, it's a very, high potency bulb, like let's say 1,000-watt bulb, but now you put like a tarp around it. Can you see that light? No, you can't, because it's being covered by something so thick. That is our body. Now, body has its own aspect and it has its own personality. It has its own expression that gets influenced by where it's living, who it's surrounded by, and what it's hearing from it, like what it's absorbing from its five senses. That is what we call ego equal to personality. So when we say this child has such a strong personality, or this child is just so stubborn, we are talking about the ego. We are not talking about the soul. Yeah, there are some aspect of the soul that comes through. It's like, there's a little hole in this big tarp, and you'll see these sparks of light coming out. And, parents would be like, this kid is just different. Yes, there are some sparks of the soul coming forward even in the young age, but today we want to understand what is ego. And I will also help you understand what aspect of you are soul and what aspect of you are positive ego, what aspect of you are negative ego. But we wanted to start with this foundation that soul cannot fully express because there's ego. So what is our work here? Our work as human being living in these beautiful bodies that we live in, our work is to develop in a way to become so aware that I can see, oh, this is my ego and this is my soul. Which one is going to win right now? There would be days your ego is going to win. There would be days your soul is going to be winning. But we don't want to turn ourselves against ourselves that, oh my God, my ego is still here. I've been working on myself 10 years and my ego is still here. I've been working on myself for 9 years. My ego is still here. And I'm very happy that it's here. So let's look at now, instead of ego, we might be using the word personality. So when you look at your personality, what are the aspect of your personality that you absolutely love? That you're like, this, I love this about me. And this, I think I can change that. So you can pause, you can make a list of those things. It will be very helpful. If you do that, it will help you understand this process even more. So I can tell you what I love about my personality is the way I can see through someone's hurt. Like if someone is yelling at me, they're screaming at me, I can just see where it's coming from. I can see the other side within them. It was something I could see or I could do from a very young age. I just didn't know it. So that is the element of the soul gift that was already there. I absolutely love it. Another aspect of my personality that I love is how consistent I am, or how structured I am in some things, and other things I'm not. But if like, I'll ask my siblings or, close friends, if I ask my circle, they look at me, I'm a very organized person. I like that about myself. Does it get me into trouble sometime? Yeah, because things have to be where they need to be. So it can also have that implication, but I love about this my personality. So what is it that you love about your personality already? What are the things that you don't like about your personality? And you're like, I wish I could change. When someone is talking back to me, I hold back. I don't say anything because I feel scared, or I want other people to be a certain way, but they are not. And I wish I can change that. We just want to kind of start bringing that upfront. So now let's look at it. What are the positive aspect of your ego? Again, what are the positive things about the personality that you are? Before we even get to that, I just want to make a brief point here. We get so attached to our personality, especially if you're taking personality test. I'm not a fan of any kind of labeling. I'm not a fan of any kind of personality test, because any personality test you take right now, it's changeable. If you're ready to do the work, you can be somebody completely different. So that is the reason I'm not a big fan of personality tests, because your soul is unlimited. If you tap into that energy, you can be whoever you want to be. One of the thing about shamans, if you ever study shamanism, I've been studying the work of Carlos Castaneda, and one of the book I'm reading from him, he's talking about his teacher who taught him, Don Juan. And one of the event he was talking about how Don Juan has this ability to completely change into a different human being, a different version of him. If he is a very tall, handsome man this moment, within 15 to 20 minutes, he would become a very weak, sick, almost dying, paralyzing, um, elderly person. Because there's a thing in the back of our shoulder. There's a very specific point. Only one shaman can, activate in another shaman. Okay, just seeing. Okay, I think in the live stream something is going on, but I'll just post the video. Um, if that assemblage points gets moved, that happens only between the student and the teacher shaman. If it gets moved, that human can actually considerably change everything about themselves. So if you are so gung-ho about, this is who I am, this is my personality, let me tell you, friend, you are unlimited being. You can accept that and you can become curious and you can go out and search that, or you can stay in your limited box. We all get to have free will. We all get to have a choice that we can make. But if you want to talk about you as a human being, oh, you can be anything. But of course, you'll have to put in the work to become anything. And you might also need a teacher to get to that level. Somebody who already knows how to do that kind of stuff. That's how I roll. I always find a teacher who can show me the way so I can go there, because I don't want to spend next 50 years looking for the way. I want to be shown the way so I can get there. Just wanted to put that in there so we can take out the limited thoughts that we have. So when we look at the personality, or we look at the positive aspect of the ego, all the values that you have, we all have very unique set of values that we carry. Some people value money. Some people value time. Some people value relationships. It's different. And when I'm saying value money, I'm not talking about, again, the negative aspect where they're stingy, they hold on to it. They value money in a way they'll make a lot and they'll share a lot, because maybe when they were little, they didn't have a lot. So money became the value for them to share their love. So they are creating all kind of positive changes in the world with money because they value it. They value their time. Some people, again, value authentic relationship. Some people value, giving gifts. Some people don't value giving gifts. Our values, whatever becomes our focal point, those are the positive aspect of our ego. If we have no values, if we are pure light and love that doesn't have a form, we can't really do much. That's why our soul decided to choose a body to come into. Our values give it form. So again, if you have not looked at your values recently, I'll say sit down, have a cup of tea right next to you. I got mine over here. Have a cup of tea and sit down and just ask yourself, what do I value in life? What do I truly value in life? And the way you would look at it, where does your time go? Where does your money go? For example, I can tell you, I would always have time to study. I would always have time to invest in myself. So that shows right there, those are my top values. Growth is my top value. And then I can look at others. So, but those are the two indicator where your time is going, where your money is going. Those are your current values right now. But be very honest with yourself. If you're not honest, you can't really do much. Another positive aspect of the ego is boundaries. Now, we don't think about it. Where does a boundary come from? It comes from the ego. It comes from the positive aspect of the ego. And when that boundary has not been created, then we are in the negative ego where we are afraid of somebody or something. That's why we are in pride. I'm skipping ahead of myself. I will get to the negative aspect of an ego in a minute. I just wanted to talk about beautiful, fluffy stuff before. But the soul does not need any boundary. My soul and your soul, we are already one. We are exactly same. We are just as powerful as anybody else. Who needs boundary? The body needs boundary. What does body have? Ego/personality. The positive aspect of the ego is be able to recognize this person is not good for me. I need to distance myself. And also remember, whenever we run into a situation that somebody's not good for you, you're not good for them either. They are triggering something in you and you're triggering something in them. So we don't want to step away from people by labeling them they are toxic. We are toxic to them too. We just don't know it because we don't live inside their body. So we always want to distance ourselves, create boundaries. If I'm not good for you, if you're not good for me, I'm not good for you either. That is how soul thinks. Soul knows that me and you are at the same level of existence, at the same power, but in the body, of course, we are playing different roles in each other's life. Self-image, where does your self-image come from? Whether it's a poor self-image or if it's elevated self-image, it comes from the ego. And when we elevate our self-image, what we are doing, we are elevating your positive ego, where you start to look at yourself, I am somebody. I am amazing. I am wonderful. I'm confident. Whatever words that resonate with you. One of the things I like to focus on, I'm unlimited. That is the self-image I keep in front of myself. I'm always reminding myself I am unlimited because there's this tiny voice in my head that would love to tell me all day long how I am not unlimited. So that is the positive aspect of the ego because our soul doesn't need any of this. Our soul doesn't need value, does not need boundary, it does not need self-image. The next one is self-expression. That is the positive aspect of the ego, the way we dress, the way we show up, the way we walk, what we create in the world. Those are all forms of self-expression. For example, today when I woke up, I could have wore anything in the world. But the fact that I wore a scarf and I wore a red scarf and I wore a dress, and that is how I'm going to go out in the world, that is me deciding, my personality deciding today, this is how I want to show up. That is ego. That is not soul. And that is the positive aspect of the ego. We all want to show up to wherever we are going, looking somewhat decent and nice and creating a nice impression as we have all learned, make a good first impression when you go for a job interview, dress for the role, dress for where you're going, not where you are. Those are all positive aspects of the ego and they exist only in the physical form. The soul is not dressing every day nicely because it's like, I want to impress the next soul sitting next to me. No, that doesn't exist there. So these are all the positive aspects of the ego, and you cannot kill them. One of the things that we hear a lot, especially in spiritual communities, is death of the ego. That is a concept that is so misunderstood. It takes many, many years of study to truly understand what does that mean. And what it really mean is, so you don't have to spend 10 years studying that. What it really mean is connect with your soul to a level that your ego cannot control you. That's all that it means. And developing that soul connection, understanding who you are as a spiritual being, as a divine being, does take time and effort and understanding from a different level, and then understanding from another different level, and then understanding from another different level. There's so many layers to it. But a day comes where your ego cannot control you so much. Does a time come when your ego cannot control you even a tiny bit? We are talking about a very high level. We're talking about somebody who have completely disconnected from the physical world, and they're just another level. Me and you are not there, and I'm not sure if we'll be there anytime soon. So those were the positive aspect of the ego. Now let's look at the negative aspect of the ego, because that is a part of the body consciousness. That is a part of personality that limits us. That is the aspect that holds us back, pulls us down, and doesn't let us get to live our soul's potential. So let's start with that. The first one is anger. Every time you're getting angry, your ego is in the driver's seat. Your soul is not. Whenever we get angry, the root is fear. The reason we are afraid because we are not feeling safe in the moment. Safety is an illusion. Your true safety lies in understanding you're a divine being, and you're always safe as a divine being. Now, if that line of transformation has not been embodied yet, you're going to keep getting angry. You're going to keep getting angry. You're going to get angry at the drivers. You're going on the road. You're going to get angry at your kids. You're going to get angry at the politicians. You're going to get angry at people on the internet. There's so many people who get angry with me sometime, whether I'm on the road or I am on Facebook. Sometimes I get beautiful love letters as well out of the result of that anger. That is ego. That is negative ego. What will happen if you don't get angry anymore? Tell me, like, what will happen? Ask yourself, what will happen if I stop becoming angry? I can tell you, you're going to release so much energy that can go towards your positive ego, or it can go towards taking the time to connect with your soul. One of the things that I keep a very close eye on is my anger. First of all the work that I'm doing, the vessel that I'm building, as soon as I get angry, it's like house of card collapsing. I have to start from square one. The more I understand that, of course, the less angry I'll get, because I don't want to do all that work all over again. I keep an eye, because right now I'm only sharing my life with one child who's 10 years old, preteen, amazing time for the parents to get angry. I keep an eye how many days it has passed that I even talk to my son in a higher tone or a higher volume. That is how much I pay attention to my own behavior. And if it ever get to a point that I am full blown yelling or I'm angry and he's getting triggered by it, there's like a back and forth, I take an account of that and I start from zero. Some days I go a month and nothing like that happened, but it's not happening on its own. I am doing the work every single day because I am staying aware of, I don't want my ego to be in control. I want my positive ego or my soul to be in control. I want to be able to see this child in his true essence, not who I want him to be. Because who I want him to be is my version of who my kid is. But the kid itself is a completely different being. And that is my message to all the parents out there. We want to manipulate our kids. We want to mold our kids. We think we've been given these kids so we can shape them into this amazing, successful person. No, my friend, we are wrong. We are given a treasure, a gift to help them navigate this world. They have their own inner guidance to be whoever they need to be. We can provide them shelter, we can provide them protection, we can provide them resources. That's all we can do. And one thing we don't want to give them is our own trauma, our own abusive ways of treating. We don't want to expose them to that. So we have to do the work on that. If I start yelling at my child just the way my mom yelled at me, I didn't do him any good. It doesn't matter how nice of a house he's living in, how nice of a school he's going to, how many amazing activities he's going to. None of that matter, because I just gave him the lineage trauma in that moment, and that came from my negative ego. So it's my job to do the work so I don't go into fear, anger. I'm not looking for safety outside of me. And that is how I can shift that trauma being forward into my generation. The next aspect, negative aspect of the ego is judgment. So whenever I'm judging myself, I'm judging anybody else. Now that is the negative ego. Again, it's going to limit. So if ego is here and the soul is here, when the negative ego shows up, it's almost like I can't even go up. I most likely will go down. So what's happening, I'm going away from my soul. Soul is here. Negative ego is here. I'm going away from my ego. My soul came into this body to do this. Can I merge this gap where the body and the soul becomes one, where I can transcend the negative aspect of the ego and I can fully step into my soul? Is it possible in one human lifetime? Of course it is. Does it require a lot of work? Yes, it does. You cannot live like a normal average human consumed by social media and what other people think of me and step into your soul fully. It really has to be a desire that comes from deep within you, and not because you saw somebody like, chillax on a TV and you're like, oh, I want to be like that, so let me kill my ego. No, my friend, it doesn't come from that place. So the next aspect that is going to increase the gap between your body and your soul is the judgment. So we want to start at home. Where are you judging yourself? Wherever you're judging yourself, those are the places where you're limiting yourself to become your unlimited soul. You're limiting yourself in those areas to become your unlimited soul. As long as you keep judging yourself, you cannot step into the fullness of your soul. You cannot. It's impossible, because you're just closing the door. You're closing the door. Every judgment closes the door. Now, as you're going to take care of the judgment within you, you will stop judging other people, because what's going to start happening when you will accept yourself for wherever you are, however you are, and not judge yourself for the relationship status that you have, the bank account status that you have, the health status you have, or whatever status that drives us human. When you stop judging yourself for all of that, you'll stop judging other people. You're not going to judge other people for wherever they are in their life. They might be at the bottom, they might be at the top, they might be just hanging in the middle somewhere. You'll stop judging them. And when we stop judging other people, we also allow them to become whoever they need to be. If I start judging, let's say I have a friend and I start judging my friend for, even if I do it in my mind, I'm not doing it to their face. I'm just doing it in my mind. What I'm doing energetically, I'm holding them back. We don't realize how detrimental judgment is. That is one of the things I always keep in mind, especially when it comes to my family members. I have 5 older siblings, and it is so much easier for me to look at everyone because, I'm like, I'm in self-development. I can easily go into, I know more than you, and I can look at their life and I can say like, oh, all these places, they are not growing. If I do that, I'm going to hold them there. I am holding them from growing. It's not that they don't want to grow. No, I am holding them from growing. It's that powerful. So every single day, every single time I'm talking to a sibling and something comes up, I take a moment, I take a pause, and I accept them just the way they are in that moment. I practice that in my personal life, in my professional life, whenever I meet somebody in person, because I don't want to hold back another soul. That is not a good thing to have in our soul record, because anything that I'm doing, it's impacting the whole universe. I don't see it, but it's impacting the whole universe. Everything you're doing in every single moment, even if it's an innocent thought, it's impacting the whole universe. If you're thinking negative about somebody, you're creating etheric pollution, my friend. If you're thinking positive about somebody, you're creating beautiful, amazing universe. You're adding to the universe. So that is right there about judgment. I'm going to move along a little bit faster. The next one is control. Whenever I'm trying to control a situation, I am going away from my soul. That is the negative aspect of the ego. How we try to control. We try to control by manipulating other people. We try to control by not even feeling our emotions. So let's say right now, I'm feeling um I'm feeling very sad. And I'm like, well, I have to go teach this class. I'm not allowed to be sad right now. So I'm going to try to control that all within me, try to be all cheerful. Deep down, something is eating me up. But I'm just gonna pretend I'm such a happy person. That could be one form of control. I can very easily try to control my kids by being my child, by being a helicopter parent. I can try to control my friends by always manipulating them into who they should be and how they should be. I can control a spouse very, very easily. Many spouses do that. We can control them and manipulate them to be who we want them to be and not accept who they are. Or I can even control by eating a lot, by eating less. I can practice control by giving somebody money or taking away money from them. So many times we do that, let's say if there's a person who has a lot of money, they might have friends who don't have that much money. So now they're kind of buying friendships by taking them out, by buying gifts for them. That is a form of control. Again, where does control come from? It comes from lack of safety within. Where do we find safety? We find safety in embodying the consciousness, I am already safe as a soul. And again, that does take time. That does take a lot of inner work. Right now, you're just hearing the concepts because I'm right now just sharing the concepts. How can you practice letting go control? It's trust. The more you trust that life is always moving forward for more, tomorrow is going to be a better day than today. The more you trust that, and you can invite that thought right now in your day, it will be so much easier to let go of control. The next one, the number fourth aspect of negative ego is pride. Now, I'm not talking about, I know month of June is coming. That is the pride month here in the US. I'm not talking about that pride. I'm talking about pride where I need someone to approve of me. People who feel so proud of themselves, it's not that they have that consciousness embodied yet. They need to show you their flashy car so you can approve of them, so you can give them your validation that, oh my God, they have finally made it in life. So whenever you're seeking validation, whenever you're seeking someone else's approval, whether it's by beautifying your outer self, your body, whether it's by earning a lot of money, whether it's by being a very hard worker, whether it's by saying yes all the time, whatever you're doing to seek other people approval, that is the negative aspect of your ego. And that is also the aspect that is keeping you away from your soul. So we want to um finish that gap, or like, lesser that gap by start realizing that no one can have the power to approve of you. They actually don't have the power. It's just an illusion that we live with, because that is how we have found safety. And we can create that safety within ourselves if we are ready to do that work. So if you are a person who find yourself like seeking other people approval, I will say the first step would be become aware of it. When you are aware of it, you have already done half the work. The problem is most of us, we are living in a way that we are not even aware what we are doing. We are so attached to our identities as a parent, as the work that we do, that even if, like, when we get attached to our identity as whatever profession that you're in, that is seeking approval. You cannot be attached to the identity of you as that person. Like if you're a lawyer, if you're a doctor, I'm a coach, I'm a healer, I cannot get attached to those identities because my soul is unlimited. I can be whoever I want to be. I'm just not this one thing. So when we just stay focused on this one thing, then that is where you're getting stuck. And just as a parent, I know the identity we carry as a parent is huge, it's massive. And when we get attached to it, we start to limit our soul's expression because now we are into the negative aspect of the ego. The last one is physical lust. So, what is physical lust? When we are only interested in the other person's body, we are not interested in who they are beyond that body. We are not interested in, like, what substance they are, what is their inner being, what is their soul. We're just like, I want this good looking person and that's it. We are going for one night stands and that's it. When we are going towards that aspect, that is the negative aspect of the ego. And if you have been there yourself, or if you know someone who has been there in that kind of cycle, you have seen first-handedly the detrimental impact it has, because that aspect takes you so far from your soul and your soul expression. And the further we go from our soul, the more miserable we feel. There's no other way around it, because the light of fulfillment belongs to your soul. It does not belong to your ego. So I hope this conversation has helped you understand the positive aspect of the ego, the negative aspect of the ego, understanding it, and maybe, like, start doing a little bit of work to merge the gap. I want to very quickly help you understand where soul comes into play. Soul has its own very, very unique and specific aspects. Whenever you're being courageous, that is not your ego, that's your soul. What does courage look like? I am so afraid of speaking on the stage, but I'm actually going to go and I'm going to do this speech. I'm so afraid to allow another person in my life, especially in intimate relationships, but I'm going to be courageous. I'm going to walk through my fear and I'm going to allow another person into my life. So courage can look very different depending where you're struggling in your life. Vision. Every time you are imagining something and you want to have a vision of your own life, it does not come from the ego, unless you want just as beautiful car as your friend got. That is coming from the ego, and that is coming from the negative ego, that is coming from control, or it's coming from pride. You want to seek their validation. But when we have a vision of our own life and what we want to create in our life, that comes from our soul. Whenever you step into faith, whenever you're afraid and you're like, you know what, I'm going to trust, I'm going to believe I can do it, that comes from your soul. That does not come from your ego. Few other things that come when you have a desire, a true desire to share, a true desire to become more of whoever you want to be, that comes from your soul. Whenever you step into sharing, whatever you want to share, that does not come from ego. Some people say, like, my mom was so sharing, I'm so sharing. They are not connected with their soul. They are just following their mom's pattern. We have no idea why mom was sharing. Mom could be sharing because she wanted other people's approval. And if we are very honest, most women, they live in their negative ego, and we're just like, oh my God, she's so sharing, she's so loving, she's so caring. That is also the woman who dies with breast cancer or gets diagnosed with breast cancer, because she was taking all of her energy and giving it away. Our breast, they represent giving. When you are over giving, you start to resent yourself. When you start to resent yourself, and these are all unconscious behavior pattern, you won't be able to see them. You will not be aware of them. When we start to resent ourselves, it creates cancer. Depending on what aspect of unbalance we have, the cancer would be created in that area of our body. So when it comes to overgiving, something will start to bubble up in your breast, because that is the organ that's attached to giving and just being open to sharing, because it's tied to our front heart. So that is all that I have, my friends, for you. I really hope it helped you understand that nobody's here killing their ego for ascension or for enlightenment. Nobody's like, dying their ego or ego death. We just want to understand, and we want to take back control, and we want to give that control to our soul. We want to connect with our soul in a way that our soul is in the driver's seat, and whatever aspect that gets us stuck into the negative ego, we can heal them. So we can release the light that is stuck in those areas, and we can use that light for our advancement, for sharing, and for benefiting ourselves and humanity. If this is something that interests you and you want to go deeper, please reach out to me. I would love to be your guide. You can go to aliajamalcoaching.com and you can book a call there. Anybody watching on Facebook, reach out to me, DM me. And I am so grateful that you joined us here today to watch this little thing on ego. Please share it with other people. And I'm sending you so much love. And I will see you all next Thursday. Love you. Bye.